Okay, we're going to begin with the Kriya, Rabbi?
I think before we lower, we'll do the
Oh,
Kriya.
okay. Very good. Yeah, there's cold water in there. Of course, that's what I do. There you go. Watch.
You did it already, right? You did it already? No. You feel too good.
Okay, the family and friends want to have seats.
We have open seats, open seating for those who wish to have a seat. Sometimes it helps if multiple people sit because to keep the balance of those seats. Somebody on each side, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Where do you want to sit? This way you don't have to. Want to sit around?
Yes.
Well, there. Want to sit next to Robin? So, switch seats, Robin.
No. Either. It doesn't matter.
We're rolling.
Before you sit, Howard, give me a slide.
Robin.
Here.
You don't get up with your
Good. Are you still in the sun? though? What's that? You're still in the sun? I'm good.
It's in there. Trust me.
At this time, one of the privileges I had last night was to hear the beautiful Hebrew names that Bathsheba gave her children. So we're going to hear from Robin, right? Fega Liba. Fega Liba. Fega is a beautiful bird, like a tzipora. Liba, beloved, right? Liba. My Liba Dicker, my beloved. Fega Liba will say a life celebration for us.
When death summons a man to appear before his Creator, 3 friends are his. The first, whom he loves most, is money, but money cannot accompany him even one step. His second friend are the relatives, but they can only take him to the grave and cannot defend him before the judge. It is his third friend, whom he does not highly esteem, his good deeds, who can go with him and can appear before the king and can obtain his acquittal. No, I did not write that. It's from the Talmud. But I searched out something that I thought would be nice for Mom. If this be true, you go, Mom. Your good deeds are well known, and some are even documented. Heaven has your spot. Her life ended the same way it began. Curled up in a fetal position, often asleep. Bed rails were her cradle. Vulnerable, totally dependent on caregivers. Rejoicing in her taking a few steps or eating some food or speaking a word. But she was pure love, like a newborn baby. She spent her last Sabbath with me at Hospice House right on Lake Erie. Cloudless blue sky, waterfalls in the distance, birds chirping, light warm breeze rustling through the leaves on the trees. It was a beautiful end to a beautiful life. August 12, 1931 must also have been a sunny, warm day. Grandpa, Irv Tickton, was out on the tennis court when she was born. He didn't even know that she was born. Although a tiny frame, she was destined to become a superwoman. She often told me stories of her childhood, her family, her adventures, and her friends. I treasure them all. Like sitting together with her brother Aaron and her sister Harriet on the big feather bed Sunday mornings with Grandpa reading stories, classic stories. Quote The Raven, Nevermore. And growing up during the Depression never bothered her. No one had anything, she said. We were all so poor, but we were happy. We didn't know any differently. I had toys once, she said. She had scarlet fever, where no one could come in and she could not go out, but the relatives, for the first time, gave her coloring books and crayons and paper dolls. She would spend hours playing with them, but she couldn't look out the window. She had to keep the sunlight away from her eyes. But I had to peek out, I just had to. And the bright sun hurt her eyes, and she didn't know at the time, but it did damage them. For most of her life, glasses would make up for that mistake, but cataract surgery and laser surgery had no effect. Every one of her toys had to be burned after her battle she won with scarlet fever to prevent the spread of the virus. And free at last, the first thing that she wanted to do was what she missed the most: pick up and play with her little sister Harriet. We always called her our little Quetzala, our little kitten, she told me. On her first day of high school, Glenville, she was coming down the staircase, and one of the teachers looked up and saw her coming down the stairs. Oh no, don't tell me all the Ticktons are starting all over again, since 10 aunts and uncles had passed through those doors in the last 10 years. In her home economics sewing class, she told me the story of her sewing project. She made a blouse. At the end of the term, you had to model what you made. It was my turn to go in the changing room so I could model it, but I had trouble getting my shirt on. The more frantically I tried, the worse trouble I had. The teacher was calling for me to come out and I couldn't, so she came in to see what was the problem. I had sewn the sleeve into the neck hole instead of the armhole. I could still picture her telling that story. Luckily, my grandmother was a good sewer and ripped it out, fixed it that night, so I was able to model it the next day and barely passed my class. Just as an aside, my Ramblers Rest friends, this is why she didn't help me with any of the quilting projects. Although she marveled at what everybody could produce with their hands. In school and throughout her life, she was involved in many social groups. Habonim, 2 different sororities, Junior Hadassah, Yomeko, young married couples. She was the chairman of a singles retreat, a camp-wide singles retreat, and didn't bat an eye when she was matched up with an old friend of hers, 12 years older than she was, and they worked together on this project. And I'm not sure who knew at the time. Maybe a few people saw the gleam in their eyes together, but that became her cherished husband, my father, Mantle. And when her sadness came when he left us, when he died, she bravely picked herself up and went to a different social group. Individuals and Starting Over were social groups for newly divorced and widows and widowers. It was through these groups that she re-met Marv Robbins, and their love would last until his death. She volunteered everywhere. PTA, room mother for nursery school, the Beth Am Sisterhood, where she ran the gift shop. She loved picking all these beautiful things. sort of dickering with folks, but certainly selling them. She was a JCC usher for years with my dad. But later she was at Mount Sinai's Second Chance, counseling people who were undergoing open heart surgery. She had gone through that with Marv, and they wanted to give back to the community and help others get through it. And she actually received an award, the Zeman Award for Community Service, for helping to start a transportation service so people who could not drive would get to their doctor appointments. Oh, and let's not forget Maj. I would regularly go to sleep hearing 1 bam, 2 crack, soap, and the gentle mixing of the tiles. I can tell that you guys don't know this. These are the main tiles in the Maj. She was so proud of her record of helping to match people up. At one time, she was in charge of a dance, and she had to get different guys to go with her girlfriends so that everybody had a chance to go to the dance. And of the 8 different couples that she matched up, one of them was Charles Barish, who became his wife, Betty, all those years ago. She thought that just having all of these marriages, no divorces, would earn her a place in heaven. And she's right. But she had to wait her whole lifetime to see her daughter married. That's me. And where is he? And there's Bob. 6 weeks ago or so, we got married. And we are still in wedded bliss.
You're still holding up the chuppah there.
There we go. There we go. Everyone who met her took an immediate liking to her and became her friend. And her warm smile was infectious. The best example of this is standing right here to my right. Rabbi Kirsch entered her room and her life this summer at Ahuja Hospital. Instant friendship, instant connections. She would tell her caregivers, get me ready, the rabbi might visit me today. Yes, Brenda? Get me ready, the rabbi might come today. I have to have pants on today. And he did, often. The joy he brought her with singing and dancing and stories was palpable. Even her caregivers described her as sweet and funny. They grew quite fond of her, and she of them. One of my favorite caregivers. Thank you and all those who helped us. You gave us a gift, and your worth is beyond measure. From me and from my brothers, and from Chuck. But to me, Funny Estrin was just Mom. It's 9 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? That was a popular saying, or a commercial, or something like that. Yes, Mom always knew where we were and who we were with. She knew our friends and trusted us to be on good behavior and home on time. This wasn't a problem around dinner time. She was a great cook, and the smells in the kitchen would get to you first. Mouth watering and stomach rumbling, I would venture into her domain. It seemed like a good time to ask Mom something or strike up a conversation. Will you get out of here? I'm busy, I'm cooking. A bit dejected and now very hungry, I would grudgingly leave, usually to the TV set in the family room, settle in to watch the Brady Bunch with Gilligan's Island. Then I'd hear her say, Robin, it's time to set the table. And she usually had to ask me more than once, but it was worth leaving TV for one of her concoctions. She loved experimenting with food. For many lean years, Mom shopped wisely and used a lot of creativity to stretch those food allowances. I didn't know that. I just knew it tasted wonderful. Dearest Mama, you are my heart, my whole world. Well, not now, because now I have Bob. Bob, you are my heart and world. I cannot measure the love, laughter and fun and excitement that you brought to my world. And woe is me now that you leave it. You are my heroine, my source of strength, my role model to emulate. I promise to always act in a way that makes you proud and brings honor to our name. You are my advisor and my sounding board. I will always seek out your counsel, even if I need to go to heaven to get it. Boy, that sounded bad. I'm not going anywhere. I might just ask her. You are my best friend forever. This I will miss most of all. But do not fear, for you will be taking half of my heart with you to worry and watch over you through eternity. I will cherish the memory of your life well lived. With love and admiration. Big and love. When it sounds familiar, it's okay.
Not quite the public speaker my sister is. Today most of us are grieving. We're really here to celebrate a life well lived. My mom taught us all the value of family and community. Family was all about doing the right thing, being there for each other. That it was first and foremost, we really watched out for each other. And for many years, she watched out for my sister. And one of her biggest worries when my sister was having some of her issues was if something happened to her, what would happen to her. Alice told her she'd come with us. She's always going to be taken care of. That mantle has now been passed to Bob. And we know that she will be taken care of well. She knew everything going on in our family. You asked her anything about anybody at any time, she always knew this person, no matter where they were in the country, what was going on, who was marrying who was sick, who was this. She always knew, and she knew the history of our family and made sure that we all understood that there's a connection. Growing up, one of the biggest memories that I have, that every year at Passover, we had the family. When I say the family, it was 32 people each night, which included blood relatives and close friends that have become members of our family. And it was a time to rejoice and really enjoy who we are and what we are. Her community was very important to her. As my sister said, she volunteered for many things. And most of it was things that we were involved in. Her involvement with the JCC, much of that had to do with the fact that my father was involved with the cultural arts. He was a Yiddish actor. And when they had musicals that were Yiddish, because he couldn't sing, he worked sets, but they were always there. When they were involved in the synagogue, when things were set up, it wasn't just my mom or my dad, it was all of us. And there was no questions asked. We were there. When my brother and I both got our driver's licenses, my grandfather didn't drive. If we had somewhere to go, oh, your grandfather has to be somewhere. You'll take him first, then you can go. No questions asked, because it was always family first. And we grew up that way and try to carry on those traditions. Mom was very set in her ways, very set in strict rules of how she wanted us to behave, how we acted in public, how we acted in private. My sister talks about what a wonderful cook she was, but she also had her rules about, I don't run a restaurant. So she had a rule that you had to try something at least 3 times before you could say, I don't like it. And if you didn't like it, then she would always make adjustments for that when she served the meal. For me, it was sweet potatoes. She'd throw in a baked potato for me instead. Her house, she kept in strict order, so whether it was me and my brother or sister, whether it was my kids, my grandkids, when they came over, you played with something fine. Before you could go to something else, you picked up, cleaned up, and put it away. And she always made sure she understood that if you don't have rules, it's hard for children to understand what is important in life. Towards the end, she was suffering. Over this last year, my brother and our families have come in numerous times thinking this might be the end. And during those times, while she had been fading and getting worse, she also was still sharp of mind. When we were in last July, we were going to play cards, and Bob wasn't there that day. And my mother says, I want Bob too. I want to play cards one last time with my whole family. She was insistent, and we had an absolutely wonderful time. It's important for us to understand that through the beginning of life, the parents take care of us. At the end of life, there are times where we as children have to take care of our parents. I would be remiss if I didn't say something about my sister at this point. She is the one who has done the heavy lifting these last 2 years. My mom would not have lasted as long as she did if it hadn't been for Robin being such a strong advocate for her and making sure that everything was done for her that could be done. Robin, when they say that no daughter is a more mother, you fall on that cat. I love you for it. Excuse me. One other thing, my mom's eyesight and hearing were failing towards the end, but I still would call and speak to her, and when she could understand the conversation, she was sharp of mind, and we would have these wonderful conversations. But I could tell when she was fading, and I had a saying that I said to her, including the last time. We never said goodbye. We said, Mom, I'll let you go. I love you. And those were the last words I said to her. I miss you, Mom. I love you. I'll let you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me adjust it. Let me adjust it.
Oh my God. Oh, I don't need it to look at my tonsils.
Okay, with your mouth.
It'll be fine. If you can bear with me, I have no notes whatsoever, such as Robin and Howard had. How do you see being up here? If it wasn't for Bunny, I wouldn't be here now. When my wife passed away, I received a condolence card from her. Ending in her providing a phone number if I need to talk. Indeed, I did call. And that started our many 18 years together. Winter times down in Florida were great. Our first time there, we stayed in a motel. Others of the hobo group had units in this RV campground. A very nice place. Some 72 different activities. A warm swimming pool. Tennis court. 3-table billiard room, which Robin and I enjoyed. So she sees what it's like, and we're driving around, and we see a unit, if I recall correctly, maybe not totally, a sign for sale. We stopped in. But he had a talk with the owner. He had to get back to the East Coast due to his health and his helper. Like that, Bernie says, how much? She didn't hesitate. When she sees something good, she doesn't procrastinate. That was good. It's amazing she didn't procrastinate over me. Sure, we had many good years together. Took different kind of trips, although, sorry dear, I never got you on a cruise. That's the other part of life. But I will say, provided there is a God, a Lord up in heaven, we'll get together. We'll be seeing a lot of friendly faces there. Like I said, I have no notes. You can search me if you want. All of this comes from here.
holiday. I'm the long speaker here.
Okay, good.
Good, you have time.
I got time.
The weather is permitting, as we would say.
Good.
Let me pick up the mic.
That's right.
Moshe Aaron.
So my name is Marvin. I'm the owner's son. And I'm going to say ditto.
There you go.
No. There's so much to talk about. And we talk about so much of life. Talk about love. Talk about not much how much love you give, but how much love you also receive. And that's how you sum up someone's life. She gave so much love to people, and she was so loved. I can't say more. I don't want to say the same thing beginning, middle, end, because we've heard so much. Family was always very important to my mom. She grew up in a household of love. She had like 9 aunts and uncles from my grandfather's side, and her mother's side was another 7 or 8. And just wonderful people, and they were very close-knit. When they got married, they still lived close to home. In fact, some of them lived right across the street from each other. Wonderful cousins, and she loved all her cousins. She loved her families. When I got married with Doreen, the love she gave to us and our kids, David and Jacqueline, beautiful. When Howard got married to Cindy, and we're blessed with Scott, Matthew, it was just wonderful. And when we were growing up, Howard and I were only about 14 months apart. So imagine mom chasing these 2 kids around, chasing each other around. It's kind of an interesting household. And she loved hearing about Howard's son's escapades, as she says. Now you know. And of course, Rob was the apple for her, and the hostess. And she's really happy that you. Her friends throughout the years, her Maj groups, she had more than one. And her couples groups and the friends that she made with that were lifelong. And there'd be a whole lot more people here today, except for Mom. I'll live them. But always in her heart. She loved her brother too, Aaron. He always had a joke. He always had some witty saying or something to say, and he livened her life. And he always came by, even after later life and everything with his wife. And they were together. His beautiful kids, Amy and David, had moved away to their lives. He would always stop by, and he and Chuck had best friends. My dad died way too soon. His mom lived 51 years ago. But she found love. She passed on. Big Marv, someone she knew from high school. She knew his family, his wife, and they became her family. And when Mom met Chuck, his family became her family. So many wonderful things. So much in her heart. Her kid, Chuck's kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, everything. So, I know you'll have more to say than I do. We were very fortunate to have Mom always there for us. Always picked up the phone. Always had a happy life. Even when her body changed, I'd call her, she was happy. She always had that smile. She always had that smile. She always was happy to share. I think I'll stop there. Yeah, sure. Anybody wants to speak? It's great.
Grandchildren or family wish to say anything? Huh? Please, sure.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Lexi.
My name is Alexia Wittenberg. I'm a homestead caregiver, and I've been with Miss Bunny for, let's say, 4 to 3 months. When I first met her, she was so full of joy. Like, when I say full of joy, I could have a bad day and I can go to see Miss Bunny, and she would just say so much stuff. Like, her son, my brother played football, and she was like, "Why do he play football? I will never let my son play football. That's so dangerous." And I was just like, "Yeah, it's dangerous, but that's what they like." And as her son was saying, like, the do's and don'ts, when you just said it, I'm like, yeah, she's very strict. And she's a kind of person that want to make you feel good. Like, she can be hurting, but she will still make you feel good. I was rubbing her back, and she said, come here. And she started rubbing my back. Like, she did. I'm just like, I'm trying to make you feel better. And just like, as I watched her go down, it was like, it's my family. Like, she grown a part of me. And it was just like, okay, I got to stay strong. For Miss Robin, for her, and Miss Robin, I really want to say you're a strong woman. I love you, and I really want you to know that you taught me a lot. You helped me grow. Like, when we was talking yesterday, you said I was a wise woman. And I'm just like, I probably am. But I just got to know my worth more. I love you, Miss Robin. I love you guys. Mr. Chuck. I love y'all. Y'all, everybody have a blessed day. And no, she's not in no pain no more. Like, she's not.
Thank you.
So we'll try to do a quick summary of her life, this time the family spent with me yesterday. I just want to open up if Robin quoted the Talmud, a Gemara, beautiful. Yes, that's what accompanies us to the heavenly worlds, our good deeds. So there's another Gemara, if I may. The Talmud says a fascinating story. A Roman empress, you know, the Romans worshipped idols back when. And the Roman empress met one of the great rabbis of the Mishnah, great leader of the Jewish people. And she said, now that your God took you out of Egypt, what does he do all day? What is he busy with? Sounds like a funny question, right? He created the world, he took you out of Egypt already. So the rabbi told her, our God is very busy making matches in heaven. When people get married down here, it has to be bashert. It's got to be meant to be, because God is working on it up there. So she thought to herself, what nonsense this rabbi is telling me. I have 250 male servants, 250 female servants. I'm going to wed them all to each other, and I'll see. God is busy making matches. So the Gemara tells us this Roman empress went. She lined up her 250 male servants, female servants. She paired them all up together. And she came the next day to the palace, called them all together. One had a broken arm, one had a black eye, one was missing a tooth. She took a look, she said, oh, I don't know if she said, oh, yo, but she said, oh, the rabbi is right. God is busy making matches. It's not something that we could just do haphazardly. And I'm saying this because I was told by the family last night something I didn't know. Am I correct? A total of at least 12 matches, 12 shidduchim, 12 matches that Bunny put together with her efforts for young people to meet each other so that they have a compatible relationship and continue to perpetuate our traditions she was so proud of. So she was God's partner in that, helping to make matches, to make shidduchim. Amazing, really. 12, at least 12, right? 12 that we know of, where she matched people together. And so she was always very proud of her heritage, her family, the Tikhtin family. Robin mentioned Slobodka, that both of her parents were from the famous shtetl of Slobodka, a crown jewel in Torah knowledge and accomplishment. I believe the family is descended from the great commentary, Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, everybody's Rebbe. You know, Rashi is 3 letters, Reish, Shin, Yud. It stands for Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, but also Rabbon Shel Yisrael, the teacher of Israel. So Rashi HaKadosh, the holy Rashi who lived 1,000 years ago, whose daughters became so famous, helped to edit his commentary. That Rashi, a descendant of the famous Rashi that we all know, we all study our Chumash, our Bible with Rashi. When we're little, he takes us by the hand, and that was such a proud moment for her to share her rich aristocratic yichus. Her father Yisro was born in Varnova, Lithuania. Chanaleah, her mother, born here in Mount Sinai, but the family's both from Slobodka. Her father, they were married in 1931, her parents. Yisro was a postal service worker. Chanaleah worked at May Company. But one great talent that Yisro had was reading the Torah. I was amazed. The children told me last night he learned the Torah for 40 years. Now those of us who know the Torah scroll has no dots or nikudot. You've got to know that by heart. And one of the children last night said, maybe Chaim, a trup. He heard someone else read the Torah once. He said, he fudged it. He didn't. He missed all the trup. He chanted it. He missed all the trup. The trup, every word has nikudot, dots to pronounce the word correctly. But then you also have to sing the word as you pronounce it. The song is called trup. So you can do the word right, but without the tune. And he obviously was a master balkore who did both the tune and the word to perfection and instilled that an appreciation for Torah reading in the family. In fact, there's a story about someone, was it, that had the wrong portion for his... It was Grandpa. He prepared his portion for his bar mitzvah, and like the day before his bar mitzvah, his dad said to him, you prepared the portion very nicely, but it's the wrong portion. You have to prepare. And he had to, last minute, he had to prepare another portion. The family lived on Massey Avenue in the Glenville area. Bunny was born August 12th of 1931. Aaron in 1934. Zichronim Lebracha. And Yibad L'chaim Tovim Baruchim. She should have a long life. Harriet, born in 1938. Harriet Stolmack, who would be with us today, but she is in Denver, Colorado, and could not be here with us today. And she went to Glenville for high school, Cleveland Hebrew schools 4 times a week, graduated valedictorian from Hebrew school. Parents, so proud, gave her a watch, a special watch as a present for that. She hoped to go to college. This was a very important thing that she wanted to do, but there was not even enough money to send one to college, the family said last night. And so Aaron, the family struggled to send Aaron, and he went on to become a dentist. She had taken college prep courses in high school, throughout high school. Instead, she wound up interviewing at May Company, and a man walked by, and she caught his eye. She looked very well educated, and she had a folder. He went through her papers, and he hired her on the spot. Mr. Graham hired her for customer service. She worked for a number of years, 3 years at May Company, then working with the Navy for a couple of years. The JCC young adult programs she was involved with, and a social worker at the JCC, Sid Friedman, was the one who pulled her in. She co-chaired events for people to get together and meet with her future husband, Mandel Estrin. They were married October 10th of 1954 at Beth Am, their beloved synagogue. And I know Kirk has been so sensitive and caring for the family. Kirk Berkowitz just shared with us that he had his bar mitzvah the same year as Howard, as Chaim. Isn't that something? At Beth Am. Dina? Talk about Bashert. So, and Mandel drove home after a Yoed weekend, and Grandma Hilda said to Mandel, "You're right." Oh, she said to Bunny, right? She said, "You're going to wind up marrying him." And Mom said, "Oh, he's too old. What do you mean? I'm not going to wind up marrying him." Well, the rest is history. They were founding members of Beth Am. Bunny and Mandel moved to Harwood. Mandel was an expert electrical engineer with NASA, an expert in instrumentation, and they moved to Harwood for the schools. Moshe Aaron, what a beautiful name. Moshe Rabbeinu Aaron, the high priest, born 1956. Howard Chaim, life, how much the family cherishes life. We say about our Torah, Eitz Chaim here, right? The tree of life. Howard was born in 1957, and Rabin Fega Liba, our beloved bird, our Rabin, was born in 1962. Children went to Roland, Greenview, Brush. Bunny was always involved with the PTA. the Beth Am Sisterhood, pumpkin fundraisers for Rollins School. Family helped in Beth Am gift shop. Mendel was the men's club president. Moshe Aaron had his bar mitzvah July of 69. Shabbos Nachamu, a special Shabbos, a Shabbos of comfort, of Nechama after Tisha B'Av. Chaim's bar mitzvah was September 12, 1970. And Fegaliba, her bas mitzvah, Parshas Truma, celebrating the tabernacle in 1975. Yom HaKol, the Young Married Couples Group, was founded to help bring people together. Club 3557, to bring young people, 18 to 30 age people, to get them married. 4 marriages came from Club 3557, and Bunny had made 8 marriages before when she was single. So for a total of at least 12. And she organized Jewish transportation. Not only made sure her children would get to the doctor, but elderly or handicapped Jewish people that needed to get to the doctor. She had started something with the Jewish Family Service to make sure that they could get to the doctor. She received the Zeman Award, who her cousin lured her into attending a luncheon without knowing that she was going to be the recipient of the reward. She loved cooking, and Bathsheba wanted to be remembered for her cooking, which means she wanted to be remembered for the love of bringing family together. What is food? Food is love, giving. My Rebbe, Reb Mendel Kaplan, he said over from maybe Reb Sadia Gaon, 1,000 years ago. Why did God create that we need to eat? We could be solar people. Now, he didn't say that, but I'm saying we could be solar people. We can have a solar plate on our head, never need to eat. But God wanted we should have to constantly feel a relationship with Him. And the love of God is also visible in the food we eat, in the different flavors, and the different colors, and the different textures. It's all God's love, and we say the Birchat HaMazon. And that's why she wanted to be remembered for her cooking, for her love, for her giving. She also was someone who crocheted, creative, and she crocheted. She would want to be known as a balabusta and a house with a lot of love. At this time, we're going to perform the mitzvah of Kriya. The family will recite the blessing, and we're going to tear a garment as is symbolic of a garment having been torn from us, the mitzvah of Kriya. For a parent, we tear over the heart on the left side, and we recite the blessing first. Just the mourners recite the blessing, the people, the immediate mourners, and that would be the children and the spouse. So you could stand for that, yes. Kirk, you'll help with the tearing? Right here. Baruch Atah Eloheinu Melech Olam Dayan Ha'emes. Amen. Blessed are you, Almighty, the true Judge. At this time we will tear the garments. If you pull it, you pull it a little bit like you.
And I'm just put my neck because you're not going to be able to hear this way. See it right there.
Try and give it a schlep too. You should Howard tear it, help him tear it. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to tear
But
it.
he'll help him along, he'll help you along, so to speak. He pulls it on the side. Okay. At this time you may be seated. So it's traditional. I want to ask forgiveness from Bunny, from Mrs. Estrin, as we called her, Zichron Lebracha, Basheva. If I wronged you in any way, please forgive me. If anyone in my family had wronged you in any way, we ask your forgiveness. You should be mochelas. You should be an advocate. for your family in the heavenly world. You should be a Melitz Yosher. I ask your forgiveness on behalf of myself, your family, and your community. I also want to express, Mr. Barish here, Sir Charles said we should thank God, the Lord God, for giving us such a beautiful, beautiful weather to be able to be here together to celebrate Bunny's life. And it's a great gift from the Almighty. I also want to thank the family who really were so warm and kind, spending time with me to help capture the beauty of her life and allowing me to spend so much time with your mom, Robin. From the beginning, you called me and you said you visited my mom in the hospital, and that's before we even remembered that we knew each other. And then when I came over, we remembered how we knew each other for decades. But of course, your kindness and your warmth and your fiery Yiddishkeit, really, the brand, the Yiddishkeit. May God fan all our sparks of Yiddishkeit into fiery flames to continue. Chaim and the family telling me stories about the bar mitzvahs and the synagogue and the president of the men's club and whatnot, and the rabbis and Rabbi Tikhtin and Rabbi Zanitsky. So much Yiddishkeit in the family. You should just have nachas. At this time, we would ask Kirk if a family member would be able to lower the aron.
I have to get the gentleman
Yes.
from the cemeteries.
Then can someone move them?
Yes, yes. Do you want to, Robin, do you want to ask?
She wants to leave.
Okay, okay.
You want any dirt? You want any dirt on it? Yeah.
To activate the device,
Have a lever.
you can come over here and lift that lever and lift all the way up.
You know, Chaim works in Kfura, helps bring people to rest in Philadelphia. Yes. And in Philadelphia, you said they.
We don't look good on
Really lower it down one get the indicate us away.
Get up.
Huh? I agree with you. Huh?
casket itself, and then make it put the bowl.
Let's go up.
And everyone's still be breaking it on there, then that would be for me. We've only done it for one time, we filled in the glass after the bowl.
He wants to put a little bit of those where they close. Sure. You want to reverse?
No, we cover the casket before. That's it.
We're there.
Right, we cover the whole casket before we put the bowl
That's
lid
what I'm saying.
on.
You want to do it now?
But everybody takes these.
At this point, if people wish to place some earth upon the table.
I'll get it.
Best regards. That's your also son, you know him.
Yeah. He loves
Mutual. We appreciate him so much. Okay. We celebrated the holiday together.
Yeah.
We should just be well.
That's okay.
We should meet at Simplest, Mrs. Rubin. We should meet at Simplest.
I think we stick it back with him.
That pellet, they already did. That, they already did. So,
Are we covering the whole casket?
Back here.
Are we covering the whole
You are granddaughter?
I'm the wife's granddaughter.
My daughter-in-law, and that's my granddaughter.
Especially today. Especially, alright? Everybody has a soul. It's kind of like it looks one way, but it's not. Go down. Angel. You know? Mom ever tell you about angels?
Kirk. Gotta get the lid on. All right, we're gonna put the lid on now. Is that okay?
You guys can shove all you want.
Well, we wanted to cover the casket and then put the lid on.
Big chunks are too
Yeah,
high.
the big chunks are too big. High.
Can I see your shovel, sir? If it's too high, the lid won't close.
Yeah, Cleveland clay.
Here, take the jacket. I will finish. You're not supposed to be doing it. We know what you gotta do. Wait, take care of this jacket.
You ready, Kirk? Well, so if you want to put a little bit more in. Just put a little on the sides, Jim.
Try to keep it small pieces.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get it to where I'm used to a little sand, a little more sand.
Right, yeah, this Cleveland clay is
It's real tough.
yeah.
Yeah, just bring up these days. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we've done our part.
And there's earth underneath too.
I know, but it's up to you. Yeah.
All right, Jim, good?
Yeah.
Like I said, we put a layer of earth underneath.
No, I saw that. Yeah, it just was broken down.
Right.
You know, it's his. We used to do this when we did it. We went for it. I'll stay. I'll stay. I'm going to take it from the rabbit and then back here. But I hope you have a meeting. Otherwise, I can better go to bed.
Short or long top?
Short. As soon as we're going to say Kaddish in a moment, and Kaddish is recited by the mourners, which would be the children and the spouse. Okay, hour. We're going to say Kaddish, all right? Everyone ready? You want to come? Okay. You can repeat after me. This is for the mourners. We'll answer. Yes, Gadal v'Yes Kadash Shemei Rabba. Amen. V'Yalma Divrach Yerusei V'Yamlich Malchusei B'Chayechon U'B'Yomechon U'B'Chayei D'Chol Beis Yisrael Pagolov Izman Korim Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach L'Olam Lo Mei Omayo Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisroman v'yisnasei v'yishadar v'yisale v'yishalo Shmei dikudsha b'richu Li'elam min kol birchasa v'shirasa Tush b'chasa v'nechem asa Damiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Say shalom b'imrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oh, say shalom b'imrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom. Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. The Shiva will begin after the holiday is completed, which means, I believe that's today is Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday night after dark begins the Shiva. However, the Shloshim period, the 30-day period for a parent, counts beginning the day we bring our parent to rest. So the Shloshim, the 30-day period, begins today. We appreciate everyone coming, and we express appreciation to Kirk and Berkowitz-Kumin for their help and their sympathy in getting everything together. Okay, yes, and the family is having, really it's a holiday meal at the Solon Community Center, right from here. If anyone needs the address, Robin has maps. Thank you.